consider something with us. So among us here tonight, we've got some crew visiting from out of town. We've got some crew visiting from town to kind of check us out. And there's those of you who, you say, no, Anchor is my home. This is my church. And for those of you who would call Anchor your church, I've got something for you to consider. It's an invite to consider in regards to a level of further partnership with us. Yep, and it's an invitation. So in February next year, 2022, Anchor is going to have its first proper, you ready? AGM. Excited about that. You know what an AGM is? It's the annual general meeting, and if you're an organisation that is an incorporated association in Australia, you have to have an AGM annually. Yep. And I want to invite, at an AGM, if you've been to them before, I want to invite you to get involved and prepare for that AGM that's coming up. And let me tell you what it's going to be like. You basically vote and you get to discuss some things. The things you'll vote about is, in regards to finances, we'll vote to receive the records of the accounts from the year just gone by, and we'll vote to actually receive and accept the budget for the future, for the year that is to come. And you get to look into all the details of that. So there's some voting, and there's also voting in regards to certain administration positions in church. Our admin team, who sits on it, the treasurer, the secretary, things like that. So if you've been to them before, it kind of goes a little bit like this. Someone proposes a motion, someone seconds a motion, and then you do a vote where, say, put your hand up if you say aye, and then you get to say things like, the ayes have it. And everyone gets really excited because the ayes have it, and things like that. So that's kind of how it goes. Now, some of you already are going, Tim, I'm not coming. I'm not interested at all in your AGM, mate. But listen up. I want to put to you that it is a healthy, helpful thing for us as a church family to have at least multiple of us involved in the administration of this body. Yeah? And so I want to invite you, if this is your home, consider being involved in the AGM. It's helpful for us because what it allows is financial transparency and accountability and ownership with the plans we're hoping to make in the year that's to come. All that stuff's really important and helpful to know about and get involved in. Now here's the deal. If you want to come to the AGM and you want to vote and get involved, you need to become a formal member of Anchor Church, Coffs Harbour, the Incorporated Association. Right? And you need to have been a formal member for 3 months before you can vote at an AGM. Hence bringing the invitation to you now, early November, so that those of you who are keen to can become formal members, and then you have your 3 months and then you can vote at the next meeting. Does that make sense? Now, the minute I mention the word membership, there's a whole range of things that can mean for different people according to which church you've been a part of, or if you've never been part of a church before. So let me just clarify, when I say become a formal member of Anchor Church Inc., let me clarify the way that we can think about membership together as a church. I want to put to you that there are 3 levels of membership as a Christian for you to consider. So I've got a fancy little pen here and an iPad, and I'm going to scribble, and hopefully this is going to make sense. The first and most important level of membership for you as a Christian is, number 1, that you belong to what I'm just going to call here, this is the biggest one, that you belong to the family of God. Is that neat?
Yes, very.
Thank you. This is like the church. Yep. So I'm going to write the church. Some of you are giggling already at mine. The church. Check it out. I've got this thing I can press and I can go like this. And then I can try and fix it. The church. Oh. No, that's terrible. The church is such an impressive thing. It can't be written in a dodgy fashion. The church. Or like, thank you. The kingdom of God. Okay, so this is the global church. This is your first and most important level of membership, that you belong to the global church, or more accurately, that you belong to the universal church Yeah? The church of all those who have ever been believers and followers of God, who have ever belonged. The church that we get in Revelation 4 and 5 that's described as the great multitude, people from every nation, every language, and they'll all one day be gathered. And entry into the family of God is by faith in Jesus. That's right. This is the most important fundamental membership as a Christian, that you belong to the family of God through faith in Jesus. And those of you who are with us yet, who haven't yet put your trust and faith in Jesus, what we want for you more than anything is that you would belong to the family of God. And you would belong to that family. And one day step with us into the multitude of thousands upon thousands upon thousands with our God for the rest of eternity. That moment's coming. It's awesome. The second level of membership you might talk about is basically the way you express that you belong to that is how? By joining like a local church, a local expression of the global church, a local assembly. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to call this Anchor Family. You know, because the way you actually express that you belong to the big one is by actually joining a local one and actually giving yourself to loving service among your brothers and sisters. It's how you express it. Yep. And all the New Testament letters will kind of start big, and then they'll bury down into the details of actually loving one another and bearing with one another and forgiving one another. So the way you express your membership to the big one is by joining a local congregation, joining a local church. And for many of you who are sitting here today, you're like, yeah, that's the one I've joined. Okay, this is the spiritual body of Anchor Church. Now, underneath this, here's the third level of membership, and this is what I'm inviting you to consider. It's the least important membership as a Christian. That's the first thing I want to say, but I still want to encourage you to do it. Least important, because I'm even going to draw it as a box. It's not even a circle, because it's not a spiritual family. It's a legal structure. Yep? And I'm going to call it Anchor Inc. All right? Anchor Inc. Because it's the incorporated association. It's the legal structure that sits beneath the spiritual family to enable it to function and it to grow. Okay? And in Australia, if you're an organisation and you want to have a bank account or do anything like that, you need to become an incorporated association. You need to have an AGM once a year. We need to have some members so that we can vote. And I actually want you to consider becoming members of... I've got a pointy thing here. Here's what I'm talking to you about today, is becoming a member of Anchor Church Inc. You see the little red dot? Look at that. That's pretty cool, isn't it? It's a legal structure, and it basically what it does is it supports this, which leads to the growth of this. You got me? That's actually why it's important. If you do a dodgy job of this, and you can't financially support the spiritual family, then we struggle to grow and function like we should, and we don't see people won for Christ and grow the family of God. So it's actually really important that we do this well. So there you go. There's my invitation to you to actually consider formal membership of Anchor Church, the Incorporated Association. The process will go like this. It's pretty simple. I'll send out an email this week sometime, or I'll put the link on the chat as well. It's an online form, online application form for formal membership. Consider it, read it, and if you're keen to become a member, fill it out, and that'll come back through to the admin team who will approve your membership. One thing to notice, according to our constitution, you're meant to have been coming along to Anchor for 3 months before you apply to become a formal member. Okay, so I don't know, some of you haven't been around for 3 months, so can't accept your application to formal membership, which annoys me, but that's part of our constitution. But tuning in online, so some of you were online with us for a month or two before we started turning up, that is attending Anchor Church in these kind of crazy times. So if 3 months is part of what you've been doing, there you go. Does that make sense? Send out the link. There you go. Now, just open up for questions. Anyone got any thoughts or questions or been confusing in any way? You do not need to be a formal member of the legal structure to function well as part of the spiritual family of Anchor Church. You don't need to, all right? And if you're not a formal member, you won't be treated any differently in this church. You just don't get the privilege to actually be involved in the discussion and decision-making with finances and voting. Okay? And I actually, if you are a member, a functioning member of this spiritual family, I do want to nudge you. Yeah, consider formal membership here, and maybe even dig into why you're hesitating, and let's talk about that. You know, it's okay. You can bring things up, and that's okay to talk about them. All right, we'll let that go. I'll transition now. I'll get my Bible out, and I'll pray, and then we'll do the sermon. Yeah?